Brian Cochis, the notorious adult movie baron known as King Cobra, is dead. Savagely murdered by a pair of business rivals just so they could steal his biggest star. Young X-rated movie sensation Sean Lockhart, better known by his screen name of Brent Corrigan.
It was a classic hit, almost like a mob hit in terms of someone is standing in the way of us making money, and that someone has to go.
But now the two natural porn killers, Harlow Quadra and Joe Caracas, have vanished from their home in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and are being hunted by police and the FBI.
Joe and Harlow lived on the run for many months. They eventually fled to South Beach, Miami, in Florida after their home had been raided by the FBI.
And inexplicably, Joe somehow believes they can beat the murder rap and achieve their dream of making a fortune with X-rated movies.
After he's promised Harlow that this is over, he's still trying to pursue a film project with Sean Lockhart.
But what he and Harlow don't know is that Sean and his manager, Grant Roy, have told the authorities Joe has been contacting them.
They actually reached out to investigators first.
And they helped police and the FBI set up a sting to not only capture Joe and Harlow, but also get the pair to confess to the murder of Brian Cochis.
This is where they walk right into the hands of the FBI, who have decided to help get Mr. Lockhart to help them audio tape Joe and Harlow.
Sean and Grant invite Joe and Harlow to San Diego for a business meeting at, of all places, a nude beach.
So how do you set up a wire on an individual at a nude beach?
With a device.
Prosecutor Michael Melnick goes a little deeper.
At that point, we conducted a wiretap as they were lying naked on their beach towels, and Harlow Quadra and Joe Caracas admitted to the murders, and Harlow Quadra admitted that he had actually committed the murder.
I gotta stop you right there. Where was the wiretap? If they're all four of them laying butt naked on their towels, where is this wiretap?
Well, what would you bring to a nudist beach other than your towel?
I don't know.
Your car keys?
Okay.
It was in the car keys, lying right next to Harlow Quadra.
And Andrew Stoner, co-author of the book on which the movie King Cobra is based, says there was a method in the madness of choosing a nude beach. Firstly, a suspicious Joe insisted on it to ensure Sean and Grant weren't bugged. And secondly,
well, they're going to a nude beach because they want to film setup shots for the presumed porno film to come.
We were trying for, some form of confession, but really, when it came down to it, it was more, they knew so much about what they'd done that was damning enough.
This is part of the FBI transcript from the audio recording at the nude beach sting, where Harlow says, actually seeing that expletive go down, actually it's sick, but it made me feel better inside. It almost felt like I got revenge.
Is that what you needed?
That's what we needed. Puts him there. Puts him at the murder scene.
Harlow Quadra and Joe Caracas are arrested and charged with the murder of Brian Cochis, along with other associated felonies.
I was scared as I was like, oh my God, what's about to go down?
In this telephone interview with Crime Watch Daily from prison, Joe says at first they had second thoughts about going through with the murder.
Second thoughts occurred when I got a little tipsy drinking, and I said, Harlow, we do not need to do this. We have way more money than Cochis has. And he says, all right, let's not do this. We've just wasted all this time and all this money. And when he said that, he knew that strikes to the core of my being, and I don't like wasting time or money. So I said, F it, we'll do it.
And Harlow recalls how Joe tried to comfort him after they were arrested.
He held my hand and he said, just be strong, Harlow. We're going to get through this. Don't do anything stupid. And he said, I love you. And that was pretty much the last time that I got to touch him.
Joe initially claims he's innocent.
To answer your question, no, I didn't do it.
And Harlow backs his partner in crime and love.
Harlow says, Joe didn't do it. Blurted it out, Joe didn't do it.
But Joe eventually ends up copping a plea deal to avoid the death penalty.
It's sinister, it's disgusting, we were caught in the world of greed, but we went there on purpose, with the purpose to kill him.
After pleading guilty to a number of charges, including conspiracy to commit arson, evidence tampering, and second-degree murder, Joseph Karakas was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
But Harlow has now had a change of mind, pleading not guilty, and going to trial with the defense that it was Joe, not him, who did the actual physical killing of Brian Koschis.
I will die at the stake before I ever admit that I did anything wrong. You know what? They will have blood on their hands.
Harlow claims that while he was in the home of Brian Koschis on the night of the murder, posing as a model and getting acquainted with him, Joe went crazy wild.
Joe stormed in afterwards, went right up to where Brian Koschis was, with one swipe, slashed his throat.
And Harlow's defense attorney, Joe D'Andrea, says he has believed Harlow was telling the truth from day one.
So I believe he didn't have a part of it and Joe was the killer in this case.
But the jury didn't buy it, and Harlow Quadra was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole, still proclaiming his innocence to this day.
I'm guilty of only one thing. That was being naive and trusting the wrong people.
And in his phone interview with Crime Watch Daily, Joe Karakas, for the first time, appears to confess that he was actually the one who wielded the knife.
I was in there, I heard it, I was jealous, and I said, this is enough. And that's the first time any news outlet, anybody, ever gotten it right, because the prosecution never did.
But Karakas would later retract that statement with one of our producers in subsequent phone conversations.
So let's address that. Why did you want to tell me on the phone here on our show that you did it if you didn't do it? Why did you want to do that?
Because I had such a wonderful, loving relationship with Harlow for so many years, and I still consider him the love of my life, and I wanted to do something to help him.
But which is the real story?
What can you say to people to best assure them that this is indeed the absolute truth?
I guess there's nothing I can say that would absolutely convince people that the physical act wasn't done by me. Though my hand did not swipe Koschis' neck physically, it did in every other sense.
One of the biggest problems Harlow and Joe have is they don't have a consistent story about this crime. It's changed and evolved depending upon what evidence the police have uncovered, and so it's a little hard to believe which version of their story is true.
One person not too excited about the new King Cobra movie, the mother of Brian Koschis. She said in an interview, quote, "He was the victim. We're the ones that suffer from it. It's just ridiculous."